running out of the batter's box hard. We're going to talk about how to get down the line. We're going to talk about how to run through first base correctly. We're going to talk about how to take a hard turn, maybe turn a single into a double. So first things first, you're at practice, you can create a base running station. You can have the guys get into a line, simulate taking a swing, and they start running down the line. The first thing we want to focus on is any ground ball in the infield, we want to peak about 3 steps down the line. The reason we peak, we don't want to just run and put our head down and not see where the ball is. Because if your shortstop makes an error or the ball goes through the hole, we don't want to sprint straight through the bag. So we want to make sure 3-4 steps down the line, we take a swing, or 3 steps down the line, we take a peek to find the ball, and then we continue down. So again, make sure 3 steps in, they're finding the baseball out on the field instead of just running with their head down, you know, assuming that the shortstop made the play, but the ball's really in left field and your guys go straight through the bag. So we'll walk down here towards first base. Come on, Quinn. Let's assume that it's just a routine ground ball in the infield. Ball's fielded cleanly. Our job is to sprint through first base. A lot of the younger players tend to stop on the bag. They'll slow down before they get there. So we want to make sure we accelerate through the bag and we sprint straight through. A lot of young players, you'll see when they get to first base, some of them miss the bag, some of them step short, and a lot of the players step directly in the middle of the base. Our quickest way to the bag is to touch the front part of the bag, and it doesn't matter which foot you use. We want to get there as fast as we can, and we want to touch the front part of the bag and accelerate through. As we get through, we can widen out our base a little bit, help us slow down, and give a peek over our right shoulder to find the ball in case of an overthrow. So again, we're sprinting straight through, we're breaking down, and we're looking over to our right to pick up the ball on an overthrow. You want to demonstrate one, Quinn? You can just go from halfway down, but make sure we touch the front part of the base, accelerate straight through. Go ahead. Front part, and he's going to break down and look over his right shoulder to see where the ball is. Okay? The next step on a ball that's hit to the outfield is we teach our base runners to run and put pressure on the defense. So we want to make a hard turn. We see a lot of big leaguers, they get to first base, they kind of give one of these, they start taking off their elbow guards and they just come right back to the bag. We want to teach our players to take a hard turn around the bag and really put pressure on the defense. So, doing this, Duke, can you just hand me a couple cones? Doing this, we want to make sure we don't just run directly to the base and make a hard left. Okay, we want to, thank you. We want to create a little bit of an angle. So you can use cones, kind of create like a little banana turn here. So your players understand, your more athletic guys don't have to turn as much. Your less athletic, slower guys, we're going to want them to get a little bit wider. But our goal is to get in a direct line with second base. We don't want to run, you know, too close to the bag and run with our shoulders upright and start drifting towards right field. So I have these cones set up. Once we get, you know, about where the 2 lines are drawn, or we get, you know, 10, 15 feet from the bag, we want to peel off to the right. And the goal here is to tuck our left shoulder, which is going to help us get in line with second base quicker. If I run upright, I'm going to drift towards right field. I want to tuck my left shoulder and hit the very inside corner of the bag. It doesn't matter which foot. Don't slow down to try to touch it with the right. Whichever foot gets there first. We want to tuck our left shoulder and get directly in line with second base as fast as we can. A great way to practice this is have 4 or 5 guys get to home plate. And me as a coach, I'm just going to stand on the edge of the bag like this. So now Quinn's job, you don't have to run all the way up if you want. He's going to work down the line. He's going to work on his little banana turn. And he has to touch the inside corner of the base, tucking the left shoulder without stepping on my feet. Now, a lot of questions we get is, well, how far do you want to go? How far past the bag do you want to go on a hard turn? And I always say, depending on how far the ball is, that's how far off we want to go. So if it's a base hit to right field, I probably don't want to go as far. A base hit to center field, I'm going to go a little bit further. And a base hit to left field, I'm going to go even further. So what we can do is use cones again. I actually got some extra cones here to show them how far past the bag they want to get. So let's say on a base hit to right field, they want to get to here. On a base hit to center field, they want to get to here. And on a base hit to left, they want to get to there. So Quinn, just go about halfway down the line. So what he's going to do, say it's a routine base hit to right field. He's going to get to this cone, stop his feet with the right foot forward, straight back to the bag. Go ahead. Inside corner, perfect, and then straight back. On a base hit to center field, we can make a little bit wider of a turn. Again, trying to put pressure on that defense. If there's a bobble, we're taking second base right away. Go ahead. Hard turn, Get out there, perfect. Right foot back. And again, set up in a nice athletic position here so that if you see the bobble, you can take off right away. And then the last one, base hit to left. We want to get a little bit further. Inside corner, perfect, and then straight back. Let's talk about sliding first. Let's do a little sliding. Duke, you want to demonstrate the proper figure 4? We can all do it, all 3 of us.
Sure. So what we always talk about is we talk about the letter 4, and it's so easy for the kids to kind of understand this and get a visual of it. So what we talk about is I talk about it in the beginning of just like standing up and taking my right foot and going behind my left foot. So my right foot's actually almost flipping the back of my knee like this. So it doesn't matter whether you do it with the left or you do it with the right. It doesn't really matter. So we get the kids on the ground and we talk about what that position is. So we're getting the same number 4. And when we do this, we want to take our left foot, if we're going right under, and we're lifting up our left heel so we're up in the air. Our left heel's up. We're going to lean slightly back. Our elbows are in, and our hands. You see a lot of guys in the big leagues now, they're wearing the mitts on their hands. Why? Because you can break your fingers. A lot of the little guys and gals, when they go on the ground, they'll either tip over to the right, they'll tip over to the left, their elbows drag on the ground, their hands drag on the ground. So we always say the easiest thing to visualize is grabbing sand and holding it in your hands. You want to hold your hands like this. You don't want them to be flexed and to be on the ground like this. So again, I'm in the figure 4, my heel's up, my elbows are tucked, I'm slightly leaning back, and my hands are in this position. So I'm gonna slide into the base just like this, and the lower I get, the harder it is for them to tag me out. Again, we don't really care if you go left or right, it doesn't matter. But that's a great way to get them to understand that. You can also have them stand up. You can have them take 2 steps, hold your hands out, and then they actually grab your hands and just slide a little bit on the grass. That's another easy way, because a lot of times when you're talking about sliding, kids are afraid to slide because they don't know how to. So we have to make sure that as coaches, we can teach them how to slide, because anytime there's a play at the base and a player doesn't slide, the umpire can call them out at the younger levels. So we got to make sure that we teach
Remember
it.
why we slide too. We slide for 2 reasons. 1, so we're able to stop right on the bag and still go full speed. And 2, to avoid a tag. So there's no reason to slow down before we slide. A lot of players will kind of hesitate, they'll slow down, and then they'll try to slide. The main reason why we slide is to avoid a tag, and so that we're able to go full speed all the way there and then stop at the last second. So make sure you just reinforce going full speed until the last second, and then making sure we stay low to the ground to avoid the tag.
What is a good drill for the best distance away from like the bag?
Okay. That's a great question. So how far off the bag, who is it?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, great question, Jeremy. So how far off the bag do we get? We get far enough off that we're 1 step and a dive back to the base. Okay, so your more athletic guys are gonna be able to get off further. 1 step, 1 dive back. Your less athletic guys, we don't wanna get off as far, but it's 1 step and 1 dive. An easy way to teach leading, I always tell my guys to start with their heels on the corner, pick up the third base coach right away. Okay, first we wanna see where the outfielders are, pick up their depth. For your younger ages though, you know, they're just starting to lead for the first time, we're gonna go left, right, and we're gonna shuffle off the base. We get to a point where I'm far enough off the bag that when I take 1 step and I dive back, I'm able to reach the front part of the base. Notice I'm touching this part of the base, the back left corner. The reason I do that, it's furthest away from the tag, and I'm able to protect myself from a throw. So I'm going back 1 step and a dive back into the base with my head tucked this way, this part of the bag. Okay, at practice, if you want to practice and you see guys are diving way past the bag, you know that they can get off further. So 1 step, 1 dive.
Coach D, in our practice yesterday, we had the 11-year-olds and we were teaching, the leading and the diving back to the bag in case, on a pickoff. And we kind of used this. This is super light. You could probably use one of the pool things that they use, a pool noodle. But I was just using this and kind of holding it, because what a lot of the kids were doing when they were diving back to the bag, they were jumping up and plopping down. They weren't going like Superman. They were almost like pushing off and then. So while we were kind of holding the holding this way. So they were sliding underneath, because that's how, a lot of times, that's how the kids are going to get hurt. When they go back to the bag and they kind of just like jump and plop, opposed to throwing that right arm and kind of pushing themselves across.
Quinn.
So Quinn,
heels on the corner. You can take your lead. So we'll go here. We'll go left. We'll cross over with the right and reset.
Quinn's only 8 years old, so he's never he's never led before. He's only 8.
Slow motion left. Cross over right, and then we'll shuffle out a little bit. Keep coming. Couple small steps. You got more right there. So we're gonna step and dive back, and we want to touch this part of the base with your right hand, and be looking at me at the end. Go ahead. Perfect. Just like that. So one step and a dive. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different depending on the age and how athletic they are, how tall they are.